Today we will expand on the idea of what a function is and domain and range, and then also talk about end behavior. So just to recap, yesterday we said a function was a relation where each input has exactly one output. We talked about the pop machine where each button only gave us one pop. Domain was our input, which was our x values, and our range, that was our output, so the y values. So if we look at this table up here, if we just created a function with x values of -1, 5, 11, 17, and then y values of 2, 7, 11, 25, our range would be 2, 7, 11, 25. And our input would be the x values. So -1, 5, 11, 17. So now let's look at a graph. We're going to state the domain and range of each function. And we talked about what to do in a graph because we have issues that the function hits all the values in between here. So our domain x values, looks like we go from -5 to +5. So -5, 5, and the brackets mean that -5 and +5 are included. And then the y values. So this looks like we're at 0.5. And up here, it looks like 3.5. If you're ever in this situation where you're not quite sure where that graph is, just try your best and estimate. If you would have said like 3.4 or something along those lines, I wouldn't be upset. But clearly, it is less than 4 and greater than 3. Now let's look at the next one. Our domain, it looks like -2.5, comma, here, looks like 0.5, or sorry, shit. All right, the next one, our domain, x values, looks like -2.5, comma, 5, because that's where our x values end. And then if we look at the y values for range, it looks like our smallest y value is down here. Don't always think it's going to be these endpoints. We got to find the smallest y value, which is -4, and our largest y value, which is up here at 5. This is a common mistake that students make, is that they just look at the endpoints. Now, remember, range is the y value, so we have to find the lowest y value and the highest y value. And then the last one, x value here, -5, value here, +5 with brackets. And then the range, we want the smallest y value, which is down here, -3, and the largest y value is up here, which is at +3. So that would be our range. The more that you do these and the more that you see them, the better you will get at identifying domain and range from a graph. Now, end behavior, this is what the function does at the left and right end. Does the left end go up or down? Does the right end go up or down? So, what does the function do at the left and right end? So if we want to talk about the left end, the mathematical translation for that would be as x approaches negative infinity. If we want to talk about the right end, we would say as x approaches positive infinity. If we wanted to say that the left or right end goes up, we would write that y approaches infinity. And if we wanted to write goes down, we would write y approaches negative infinity. So when we write end behavior, we will choose one of these and one of these. So when we talk about end behavior, we will always have a left end and a right end, and that will pair up with one of these. The left end will either go up or down, and the right end will either go up or down. I know this may sound confusing, but I think once we look at some of these examples down here, you will be a little bit more confident in what we're talking about. So in this example, we're going to determine the domain, range, and end behavior of the function. Now, these arrows, you know, that means these go on forever. That means we will eventually hit all the x values because the function keeps going. So our domain, you can write it two ways. You can write it negative infinity, comma, infinity with parentheses. The parentheses means that those numbers are not included, and when we use infinity or negative infinity, we always have parentheses. So you can write it that way, or you can write all real numbers. Most people will use the infinity symbols just because it's smaller to write. The range, though, if we look at the y values, the smallest y value we get is right here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it looks like. So the smallest y value is 7, and then the y values go all the way up to infinity. We can't write all real numbers because the y values do not get smaller than negative 7. One of the most common mistakes that I see is students flip-flopping these. So they'll put infinity, comma, negative 7. That's incorrect. You always start with the smaller number first. Now, end behavior. When it comes to end behavior, let me erase this stuff. We will have a left end and right end. So look at the left side of this function. The left side over here is going up. So back here, the left end goes up. So what we're going to do is we're going to write this part. We're going to say as x approaches negative infinity, because that means left end, the y approaches positive infinity, which means goes up. As x approaches negative infinity, that means left side. Y approaches positive infinity, which means goes up. So now let's look at the right side. The right side here is also going up. Okay, so the right end is also going up. So then what we'll write is we'll write these two things. As x approaches infinity, y approaches infinity. So it might help at first to think about it as this kind of translation right here. We want to talk about the left end, we write this phrase. If we want to say going up, we would write this. If we want to say goes down, we would write that. So let me erase these underlines so that the next one we do does not get mixed up here. So let's look at this next one. Domain and range, you may think that the x values are slowing down or they're going to stop. But the arrow means that this function keeps going forever. And yes, the y values are going down very quickly, but so are the x values. It's just not happening as fast. So the domain will be negative infinity, comma, infinity, with parentheses. And then the y values are going down, and the y values are going up. There's no top or bottom of this function like we saw over here in the first example. So the range will also be negative infinity, comma, infinity. Now, let's look at the end behavior. The left side of this function is going down. Let's look at our table. Left end, we're going to write this. Goes down, we're going to write that. So we're going to put these two together. As x approaches negative infinity, y approaches infinity. Sorry, negative infinity. Because the left side is going down. Now the right side is going up. All right, so the right end, we're going to write this. Goes up, we're going to write that. So we're going to combine these two. As x approaches infinity, y approaches infinity as well. So the intimidating thing about this is all the math notation. Once you get that down, you will be fine. So like I said, just think about it as what's the left side doing? What's the right side doing? Know what it's doing in words, and then use this to figure out what you would write. All right, the last example before I have you guys try the rest on your own, there should be arrows here. So let's put those in, because that will change the problem. With those arrows, the domain goes on forever in both directions. So your domain is negative infinity, comma, infinity. Now the y values, this is the smallest y value right here at negative 2. So negative 2, and then the y values keep going up to positive infinity. Now the end behavior, if we look at the left side is going up. So as x approaches negative infinity, that means left side, the y values are going up, which we write y approaches infinity. The right side is also going up. So as x approaches infinity, y approaches infinity, which means y is going up. All right, so I want you to try letters B and C. We're going to cross off letter D. So pause the video and try those. And once you're done, unpause it and see if we get the same answer. Okay, there's your answer for B. So check it, pause it if you need to. And then there's your answer for letter C. In letter C, we have the top of the function right here and here, and it's at 5. Yeah, we do have a bottom right here, but the y values do get even lower. So that's why the range is -infinity, 5, and a bracket around 5. So this is just a brief introduction. We will do more of this in class and then the next day. So make sure you are prepared to come and ask me questions. Thanks for watching.